changed so fast. And leads the charge. Rush to his left. Onside, Ian Rush. 1-0 Liverpool, brilliant goal. Marvellously made by Alan Hansen. And put away by Ian Rush with the minimum fuss.
That's Risa, tossed it towards Morientes, and then Gerrard! Oh! Oh, goodness me! What a strike from Steven Gerrard! I told you, don't write them off.
And welcome along to the Singapore National Stadium. It's leg 2 of this summer's Asia Tour, and we're live with Liverpool's latest training session, which is taking place in front of what they're expecting to be in the region of 10,000 fans. Local time 6:30, and with me keeping a close eye on proceedings over the next hour or so are Jason McAteer and Luis Garcia. We'll hear from both shortly. First, though, just a reminder that you can see tomorrow's match against Crystal Palace here on LFC TV and LFC TV Go. That is one of 4 remaining games for Jürgen Klopp's side as they ready themselves for the new season, also facing Leipzig, Salzburg and Strasbourg. And all 4 fixtures are available to watch only if you're a subscriber. If you're not already, details of how you can be online at liverpoolfc.com/watch. And if you're just tuning in, bringing you this training session live here from Singapore National Stadium, where Liverpool take on Crystal Palace tomorrow in the second pre-season fixture of the summer. Lucho is here with us for the first time. Jason McAteer alongside me as always as well. And it's been a great trip, Lewis, so far, hasn't it? Thailand, the welcome was fantastic, and it's been more of the same here in Singapore.
Yeah, exactly. We all know what is the passion and the love for the fan base that we had here in Asia. And once again, they never surprise us. Every single time that we come here, have a look, everybody ready to support the team and ready for the game of tomorrow.
You've played here, so you know, but there was a guy actually in a Scotland kit in the hotel. He came over and said, these boys have changed lives. He had 2 kids who'd never seen Liverpool players, never seen any professional footballers in the flesh before. And, you know, they were walking by them in the lift. He said the kids wouldn't go to sleep. They were so excited. Yeah,
you're touching lives that probably most of the people here, they're not going to have the chance of seeing Liverpool at Anfield or trying to even go to Europe and see a game, whatever it is. So I think it's fantastic that the club make the decision to come once again here. It's been quite a few years after also the pandemic, and bring this to Asia, in this occasion Thailand and Singapore.
It's also about protecting the future as well, isn't it? I mean, it's okay being a fan of 24, 25, the legacy of the fans from when they're, 50, 60, that's already there. That, the history was made and they were part of it. But these young kids who are coming out now, they'll remember this. Seeing Mo Salah in the flesh, watching them train, coming down to the stadium, and that'll protect the history of the club and the legacy of the club by them being supporters for years and years to come. And then it'll be their kids and their kids. So it's vitally important.
Billie Eilish will play on this pitch and Justin Bieber in the next couple of weeks. The pitch actually...
Tomorrow night.
Not tomorrow night,
I think we need to get a ticket for that.
The pitch only got laid 3 or 4 weeks ago, so as soon as Liverpool are done with the pitch comes up and it's back to concerts again. That's how big this occasion is for Singapore.
It's massive. I mean, we've seen how big and the impact, Liverpool, Manchester United had on Thailand. Again, what we were talking about, bringing it over for the fan base and also for commercially, it's great revenue. It's a great place to be for that kind of thing, but also for Singapore as well. It's important. Like I said, like you were saying there about the stadium, they put concerts on. This game's here, Crystal Palace. You wouldn't know they were actually in, to be honest. That's not being disrespectful to them, but it is all about Liverpool.
Tell us a little bit about the climate here, Lucho, as well, because they think between 30 and 36 degrees by the time the game kicks off tomorrow. I think about 75% of that is humidity. But there's a roof on here. That doesn't half cool things down, doesn't it? It must be so difficult to play in this.
No, at all. I guess they cover up just in case it rains. Here we are in the moment now. This year they're going to start raining for an hour, and you could leave this one like a lake. So it must be just for that. But it's true that the humidity is not going to help the players, even though they just been only for a week almost training. That's the first goal for Harvey Elliott. great left foot. But they're going to struggle because even though they haven't played a lot, we saw them the other day around 30 minutes each player. It's not easy because that humidity actually makes them to not be ready to be sharp, to make runs. And again, we'll have to wait and see what Jürgen decide for tomorrow, but it looks it's going to be once again the same.
These were the sessions that they were working on in training last night. 4 different teams, yellows, whites, greens, and another team of yellows. The pattern play that Liverpool have become famous for, Jason, it was so quick, it was so ruthless, it was looking like watching Liverpool play again, which was maybe not the case against Manchester United the other night.
Yeah, we call this shape when we were playing, and it was just repetition, repetition, repetition. It was just getting an understanding of who goes where, how you play it, but it's all done at intensity, and it's very difficult with this humidity and this heat, but that's what pre-season's all about. Yeah, it looks like it'll be more of the same tomorrow night. I would assume it's 3 teams, 3 different teams coming on for half an hour each, just to get more minutes under the belt. This is still very early days. I mean, me and Lucho were talking in a lounge before. You know, Manchester United were back, probably because Liverpool played 63 games, played that Champions League final as well, which puts an extra 10 days on a season. Manchester United were back 10 days before Liverpool. Crystal Palace have played 2 games already. You know, they've got 2 games under their belt, so you'd expect them to come into this game slightly sharper. But
yeah, but look at the intensity they bring, and you can see the players, yes, trying to bring it up, but Pep in the middle, just pushing them. Peter also there. They're going to try to don't allow them to even stop for a second. Every single time that the ball is moving, everybody's moving, also the players, but also the coaches.
Really, really warm inside here tonight. Maybe not the intense pace that we saw in training behind closed doors last night. What was funny about it as well, Jason, and tell me whether this was the case when you were working on shape, was it was so competitive between the teams. There's a time penalty if you don't score within the 15 seconds, and then all of the time penalties are added on at the end. So there's a winning team at the end of it all, and you might be able to guess that Jordan Henderson was on the winning team. James Milner was as well.
I played him at Jenga today, Millie. Put me 2-0, and I'm really good at Jenga. He reckons he's never played it before. Yeah, that's why they have, you know, forfeits, or they make it into a competition, don't they? Because it keeps that intensity. It's all about intensity. That's what it's about. You don't want them going through the motions, and obviously tiredness. You know, when that sets in, it can make you sloppy. It's all about working in them moments where you're really, really tired and still doing the right things and making the right choices, and that's what it's about.
Winning mentality, Jason, at the end, if you are used to win on the training, what you do on the training is what you're going to do on the weekend. So you have to understand that when you play for Liverpool, you are not playing just to try to be in the middle of the table, try to get in the top 4. You are winning. You are trying to play for winning trophies.
How much did that take to adapt into that Liverpool way in training, Lewis, in the sense that, you know, you give the ball away in training, everybody's on your back straight away. You're not allowed 1 error, let alone 2 or 3 in a session.
Yeah, exactly, but that's the way you want it to happen at the weekends, and it's a routine that I think the manager and everybody around is trying to implement for the players. When the ball is so important, having the ball is key. Not only because you're going to be able to score, but it's also because you are not allowing your opponent to concede or to give you a goal. So the most important is to be concentrated, to give that importance to the ball, not losing it, and once you is in your possession, try to make the right decisions. Much more now that we can see a lot of young players getting involved. These are the players that are going to be the future for the Liverpool, and you want them to get involved with that, to start getting that mentality.
So what's interesting in what we're watching here, shape, it's watch where the ball isn't and watch what the players are doing, because while you've got the ball, you're very vulnerable if you're not switched on. So look, the organisation there, they're all organised, the back lads, you know, they're all pushing up, they're condensing the pitch, because if it does break down, they're all around to win it back. We're looking at them attacking and shooting here and building up and playing through the middle and trying to get down the outside. But also there's a protection in case we lose it. You watch all the young lads, see them pushing up, Jordan Henderson just pushing in, Tsimikas has pushed in, Millie's just come across. There you go. See Pep just drop the ball there, and then they're all on it. That's to win the ball back and go again.
Harvey Elliott's been a player that Jason McAteer has been excited about almost since Liverpool signed him, and you said at the time this kid could go and play in any position for a Barcelona team in the next 5 or 6 years. He has looked so sharp in these sessions so far. He's come back, he thinks, in the best condition he's ever been in as a professional footballer, and you sense he's got a big point to prove this year.
He has. I mean, you know, his season was cut short dramatically by that tackle at Leeds and that injury, that really poor injury, bad injury, which he fought so hard to get back as quick as he could. He got back in the team, and then kind of the adrenaline got him through a few games, and then it kind of levelled out a little bit. He was taken out the team. He had a bit of a poor game against Milan away, I remember, and he kind of settled for a place on the bench and a bit par for the rest of the season. But he'll feel now it's a fresh start for him, get a full pre-season under his belt, and he'll feel like he can edge his way into the team now. You know, that midfield is ageing, but now Jürgen's gone away from that 3 more defensive players. It's now 2 defensive players and a more expansive player in that midfield, maybe an Ox or a Curtis Jones, a Thiago, but certainly that place is up for grabs, and Harvey will feel like he's, you know, he's got a chance of making that position his own.
You like him, Lewis?
I love him. To be honest, since the moment they arrived to the first team, you could see that is a player who is there with a lot of hunger. He wants to make a big impression, and this precision is so vital for him. We haven't seen. That's the 4 goals he scored every single time that he's been on the box. He scored. He's not looking for putting the ball in the top corner. He's not looking to put in a nice lob. He's trying to score, and that's something very important. Having a player who's got that determination, that conviction that he can become one of the first 11 for Jürgen Klopp, because the manager proved him. If you play well, you're going to have minutes, and it happens before. So he's showing me in these days that we've seen in training, we've seen playing, that he wants to be in that 11.
You've been around Xavi and Iniesta, you've seen him, train with them, grew up with them. I don't know whether it's because he's small and he's got that kind of build, but I get the feeling he could mould into that kind of player.
Definitely.
Do you see that?
Yeah, of course. You've seen something that reminds me this kind of player is his body position. Every single time he's well orientated or to the game. Every single time he's on the ball, the control is towards, and that's the way they play in Barcelona. You see now on these days, Pedri, Gavi, every single time they are well orientated. When they receive the ball, the first control is going towards, so you can put one of the defenders on the side. And we saw him the other day against Man United. He got the ball a couple of 3 times, and with the first touch, he just beat one of the players exactly out of the way. So that's the most important for him at the moment. Continue getting the fitness in the perfect condition, and also getting confidence, because that left foot has got something.
I think he started 3 of the first 4 games of last season, obviously before the injury come along, and Jürgen says that he thinks he was the best player in all of those games
Chelsea
as well.
was fantastic, yeah. He kind of went up another level at Chelsea. I don't know whether he got in the team the first couple of games and felt, do I really belong here? He was very safe, wasn't he, in what he was doing, and I was itching for him to sort of just be a bit more expansive, just be a bit more flair. And the Chelsea, it kind of just happened for him. He started taking a few more chances. Listen, in the final third, he's the player you want on the ball, by the way. He's like Thiago, isn't he? You want him on the ball in them areas. It's like Lucho, isn't he? Once he gets in them little pockets, you want him on the ball. So he started doing that against Chelsea, trying to thread them little balls through. His way to pass, his decision-making is fantastic. And like Lucho said, we're watching him here. He scored 3 out of 4 attacks. He scored, hasn't he? So
2 added bonuses to it all is that he's a little bit of something different, isn't he? It's a little bit of what we don't have in the midfield already, and it might be a small detail, but he's a Liverpool fan. You know, grew up adoring all the teams that you played for, etc. That would be a massive thing, wouldn't it?
Yeah, of course. When you even feel it, I mean, normally players are professionals, and it doesn't matter where you are, that you're going to try to do 100%. And I don't know why, when you are feeling really the colours of the club that you're playing, it's just a little bit, you enjoy it even more because you also celebrate it because it's your team. So I think it's going to be an extra.
The young lads who are taking part in these drills now as well, they're learning the hard way, aren't they, from Liverpool senior professionals, that they need to be slightly more ruthless. We'll talk about some of those a little bit later on. One thing I had noticed from training and speaking to some of the lads around the training camp at the moment is how impressed they've been by Fabio Carvalho. And you know what senior players are like. If they don't fancy a player, they won't say too much, but they've all been waxing lyrical about what kind of impact he's made in these early sessions.
he's got bags of talent. We've seen that when he was at Fulham. You know, a great prospect, loads of potential. And let's not forget, he's trying to impress right now. He's come to a new club. He's trying to find his feet. You know, he'll have the adrenaline will be pumping through him. He'll want to impress the lads and show them, listen, I'm here because I'm a good player. That's what happens. Whether he gets quite a lot of starts remains to be seen. He's in an area of the pitch where it's not too much up for grabs. He kind of, I suppose he could play left or right in that front line, but also we've just waxed lyrical about Curtis Jones, Harvey Elliott, the Ox can play in there. He's got a lot of competition to get actually in that team. I don't know whether he's quite ready yet. Looks like Coutinho to me, plays like that, doesn't he?
Hello, Jason, but you know what? He's one of those players that you can play him in so many positions. I mean, we've seen Milner play in the midfielder and the striker as almost as a keeper. And I think Carvalho is kind of the same. We've seen him playing as a fullback position, also in the middle straight away, as we saw the other day. And he's a player that, with the ability that he's got, the speed that he's got, I think he can play in every single position on the field. And of course, if you play him from the midfield onwards, I think he's going to be even better because he's got that ability to score. We saw him scoring a few goals last year. So I think he's going to get minutes. He's going to get minutes because we're going to have injuries during the season. We're going to have players that they're going to have a low during the season because everybody's got a low during the season, and he's going to be ready to get those chances. And to be honest, I fancy him very much. He's got a lot of quality.
We see, obviously, Jürgen with that false number 9 with Firmino, and we kind of gone away with that with the signing of Nunez. He's more of a traditional number 9, isn't he? Likes playing down the middle, hanging on shoulders and getting in behind, especially when there's high lines to be looked at. I think Carvalho is slightly in the mould of maybe playing in that false number 9, so kind of we've gone away with it, but we're kind of protecting it still with him, and I can see him playing in that position as well. Lucho's right, he's got bags of ability and he's versatile, but that position he could make his own. You know, with Firmino getting older, a year left of his contract, that could be his place.
It's a great story as well. He came over from Portugal as an 11-year-old playing for a Sunday League team, and he didn't have an academy sorted out. He just turned up to watch, you know, Queen's Park Rangers play. And just how he impressed the coaches on that day when he was kicking around on the side of the pitch, got him a trial, and the rest is history. He's somebody that's so hungry, as his advisors were saying, that, you know, he's never seen him drink orange juice. He's always drinking water. He's got this dream of winning the Ballon d'Or one day that he thinks is realistic, and the club he's at, there's no better place. Yeah, exactly. That's the way you have to dream. You cannot dream about, no, I would like to play maybe one day in Championship or maybe one day in Premier League. You have to dream about winning trophies, about being in the top teams in the world, and why not to win the Ballon d'Or one day. I was dream one time to become the Golden Boot and in Europe, and that was my dream when I was a kid. I couldn't arrive to score more than 5 or 10. Yeah, but that's a dream. You have to dream big, and after that we'll see what happens. But having those kind of dreams is going to make you work very hard, and of course be very committed of what you're doing. And well, I think we've seen a fantastic few trainings from him. Well, his Sunday League team got looked after in the deal with Fulham.
I was going to say,
still going.
They're still going.
They got probably five kits they playing across the seas and brand new footies out of it. It happened to you, didn't it?
Marine
got looked after with a set of kits.
500 quid and a bag of balls it was. Yeah.
How do you see some of the people that we've not really spoken about in too much detail, and somebody else who has looked really sharp in the session so far and did last season as well was Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. He needs some luck along the way, doesn't he, to stay fit, to stay in favour, to provide an option, because there's 5 subs next year. It's going to change it for a lot of players, that.
We got asked the question in a lounge before, you know, what you expect from the different players around the team. We can all expect the same thing from Salah and Virgil and the players who you'd expect to be first pick, but we went through quite a lot of players that it's a big season for. You know, hopefully Joe Gomez keeps himself fit, he can push himself into the team. You know, we all expected that partnership a few seasons ago to flourish with Virgil, sadly cut short by the injury, but it looked like that was going to be the partnership. He's now signed a new deal, he's got the opportunity. The Ox, you know, he's not moved on. He stayed here and he's got a point to prove, wants to get back into the team. Harvey Elliott, can he push his way into the team, remove Thiago? I think there'll be a lot of rotation, but they'll have their eye on staying in the team for long periods. Nunez, Diaz has got another level to go up. Can he fulfil that potential that he showed last season? Can he get better? Nunez, as we just spoke about there, can he get the goals we're expecting into double figures, 20 plus? Get the opportunities, won't he? Can he finish them off? Is he going to settle quick enough? So there's lots of things to look forward to.
Tactically, might that change your idea? Say you were in Liverpool's squad now, Lewis, and you didn't play as many games or didn't start as many games as you wanted to last year. With that 5 subs, would that change your mindset to the point where you think, I am now going to play more of a part, I am going to be used in more games? No, definitely the lads know they're going to be more opportunities.
And because at the end, when you keep this intensity in every single game, you're going to need to rotate players. There's no way that all of them can play. We were talking today with Virgil van Dijk, and one of the things that he said was that after the injury, he's very happy of the whole season because the amount of game that he played. And that's totally true. After an injury that you are able to play so many games for 90 minutes. It was just incredible. I was expecting him to maybe drop for a few games and then get back because you don't want to get to risk to get injured again for a long period. So the players know that if you are going to get involved in many games, you're going to have chances because the managers have shown that the rotations have been working. You got the FA Cup, you got the League Cup, you got the Champions League, you got the Premier League. So there are so many games. This year it's been 63 games. That's a lot. And there is no chance that a player can play 63 games with a World Cup in between. So I think that everybody knows that they got a chance. That's why when you see the training, they look so intense. Everybody wants to show that, listen, if you want to ask me, and you were talking about Ox before, the other day he was one of the sharpest ones. He was, when he was on the ball, he was beating players on speed, he was trying to look his luck from outside of the box. He's one of those players that if he's got minutes, if he goes games, it's going to be important for the team.
The substitutions is important for lots of different reasons. Listen, FIFA and UEFA, you know, they're turning it into one season now, aren't they? Year on, year off, it's just rolling through because the amount of games that they're playing, there's more teams in the Champions League, we've got a World Cup now stuck in the middle of the season. You know, there's all kinds of things going on. These poor lads are not getting much rest. They're getting 2.5 weeks at the end of a season to recover and, you know, then go again. So it's important that they do protect the quality of what we're watching. And, you know, managers now are looking at it thinking, I need bigger squads. That means more money. But don't get me wrong, there are areas of the pitch where players do a bit more running than others. Like I run definitely more than Lucio. He hardly done any running him. He was too clever. He just ghosted into pockets, I know.
We're watching live training here from Singapore. It's the second leg of Liverpool's pre-season. It is so hot and so humid here. It might be a slight change to how you've seen Liverpool train before. They have a slight break when they come back. Maybe try and squeeze in a couple of rounds of golf, some of them before they're off to Austria then, to really hone in on what the plan will be for Jürgen Klopp. Then they will just sleep, eat, train, repeat twice a day. And we will really see the real Liverpool, I think, in the next couple of weeks. One of our 4 remaining friendlies for Jürgen Klopp side, this as they ready themselves for this new campaign. They're up against Leipzig, Salzburg and Strasbourg. All 4 fixtures available to watch if you are a subscriber. If you're not already, the details of how you can right here at liverpoolfc.com/watch. Don't leave it till the last minute as well. Get yourself settled. Get the game in tomorrow. Great way to start the weekend as football comes back. We're going to take a slight break from talking now, and you can hear a little bit of the atmosphere around the pitches. Jürgen Klopp just moves into things here to add his instructions to the players, and we'll be back with Jason McAteer and Luis Garcia very soon.
Come back.
Liverpool warm-up, and warm-up is probably the operative phrase to use in Singapore at the moment. It's warm, it's humid, there's a roof on here which will spare the players ever so slightly. Not that they'll be feeling it at the moment, the humidity that has been present here since we arrived 24 hours or so ago. The two lads, Jason McAteer and Luis Garcia, have been mesmerised by some of the drills that have taken place so far. A play that's really caught your eye, Jason, is a young fullback that started the game the other night, Luke Chambers, who's had great success for England. He's one of the newer kids on the block now, and he's hoping that he's going to learn from the very best in Andrew Robertson.
I don't know what's happening. We seem to be reducing these really composed young kids coming through on the ball, isn't it? They've always seemed to have time and space. They're fully aware of where they are on the pitch. The first touch is great, and the decision-making's great as well. But he's got great delivery. I mean, I was really impressed by his decision-making when he didn't have the ball, when to push in, where to go. He was always conscious of his defensive duties. He was getting forward in attack, but looked really composed on the ball as well. Just watching him in training doing free kicks there from set pieces, he was putting some fantastic balls in, flat, quick. Yeah, I'm really, really impressed with him. Great left foot. He's also got a nice right foot as well.
Academy is doing an amazing job at the moment, to be honest. I had the chance when I was doing my B license to coach some of the under 15 at the AXA training ground, and they were mixed.
Are you down to his progression? Is that where you're going with this?
Maybe that left foot is coming from somewhere. No, but to be honest, I was very surprised. We had kids from 13 to 15, and you couldn't see that the difference between those two ages, and they are massive because some of them they are 6 foot, the other ones are half of it, but definitely you could see the awareness when we were doing 11v11 game. You could see the talent. We've been. I was talking before about the body position on the field, the awareness around them, and they would do such a great job. They understand football, and I think what they were trying to do at the academy is trying to copy what the first team is doing, and that helps all the young talent. So arrive here and don't get lost, because sometimes it happens. If the academy is not in the same direction that it is the first team, when the players arrive here, the intensity, the mobility, the situations is totally different for them, and they get lost and probably they lose an opportunity to make an impression. So now we saw Morton, we saw Chambers the other day on the game, and you can see that they understand exactly what the Jürgen Klopp wants, and that's fantastic, because why not? They can have the opportunity tomorrow.
Just to go away from talking about the younger players, I was just watching them set up there, Pep Linders, and I was watching Jürgen talk to the players before when he got them all together. It'd be easier for a lot of these players to let complacency come into play. You know, they've won everything, they're at the top of the game. It would be easy just to switch off. They don't let them switch off. I mean, Pep there was setting up the attention to detail. Was the way he was moving players around, the way he was setting players up, losing the ball. I mean, we're watching him now. Jürgen as well. It's fascinating to see, isn't it? You know, look at them talking all the time. See Jürgen pointing to where the ball's nowhere near where he's pointing. You might see him turn around now, look.
A little bit of flair on those plays. when you arrive into the box, you go 4 or 5 players that they all want to score, and one is passing to each other to see who is the last one to get the ball, and then trying to score. We've seen that he's been all the staff he's been working in the first 11 that we saw in the first part. Now is another totally different 11. So that shows and indicates that tomorrow we're going to see a little bit that 3 totally different 11s, and they are working exactly the same thing with exactly intensity, and the formation that we've seen is a little bit slightly different. When they are pressing, you can see Mo Salah a little bit more inside, not as wide. You can see as well Carvalho. That why not we might see him tomorrow in one of the wider areas where Luis Diaz he was playing the other day. So yeah, I think it's a little bit more of what Jürgen wants from this team, but it's slightly different when they go into press.
Rafa had attention to detail, didn't he? Did you do a lot of shape with him?
A lot. Actually, I'm going to tell you this. Pep was having the ball before. When they start this kind of plays, sometimes doesn't start from the middle of the park. They start from here, from outside the box, Pep having the ball, and he's making the intention he's going to send a long ball. So every single one of the defenders had to be on their toes, trying to be very well shaped and looking at the ball, but also ready to run back. And that remind me of what Rafa Benitez used to do. We used to play like this on the warm-ups. We used to have the ball in the middle, used to start moving around for allowing the players to move. Where are the positions where they have to be when the ball is not in your position, like that. Exactly like that. What you have to do when you see the ball, everybody goes to play. Have a look, 2, 4, 6, 8 players around the ball. And those kind of moments remind me a little bit of what Rafa was doing back then. All those kind of detail, every single detail is important, because that is what it makes the difference between being the first one or the second one.
It's become a bit of a trademark, that, isn't it, that press? When they lose the ball, they all hunt the ball down. It's like a pack, isn't it? They go in packs.
Not press, they chase. Yeah. They chase. That's what Pep is trying to send the message. And I think in the book that he just finished, Intensity, it says that. We don't just press, we chase players.
How far away is this from the starting lineup of Liverpool? It's the usual back 4, midfield of Naby Keita, Fabinho, Thiago, and then maybe a new look front 3, or certainly the options to be with Darwin Nunez in there and Carvalho on this left-hand side.
Yeah, exactly. You got so many options, and we are lucky that we're going to have the chance of seeing so many different one of them in the next coming weeks, because I'm sure that he's going to try to mix them, to see how they adapt one to each other, to see different partnerships. It's very important. Yeah, they are playing 3 at the front, but it's very difficult that they combine in between them. You can see Salah as a centre forward at the moment. So there are many different situations that they're going to face during a game. And I think that it's very important for a manager to understand who are the best partnership between Nunez or Carvalho, Nunez or Firmino, Salah or Luis Diaz, Jota, that we haven't seen it yet in this side of the pitch. We'll see him probably later in the other game. But it's very important that you see as soon as possible those partnerships, how they work, because they might be very important as the season starts.
Darwin Nunez won't have been overly used to a winger pushing him out of the way to finish a chance off, will he? He's going to have to get used to that here.
He's probably sick of Mo doing. I've just been watching that. He's nicked every chance he was on there. No, they'll need an understanding of how each other play. I mean, we see it with Firmino, Mane and Salah. They were like telepathic at some times, didn't they? Some of the moves and the way they played together, they just knew instantly where each other were. But they had an appreciation of, to find each other, when to leave the ball, who was going to score goals, who was going to be the star, which was obviously Mo straight away. I'm not sure Sadio was too happy with that at times.
Well, he had to get used to it, didn't he?
He had to, yeah. But Firmino quickly got onto it, and when games were outscoring, but we knew his worth in the team, with the press and what he did, other things he did around the place. So we come accustomed to him not scoring for maybe 5 or 6 games, and no one got on his back. He had a job to do. But he's going to have to learn quickly, isn't he?
No, and the thing is, when you arrive to a team like this one, where everybody work their socks off, you are kind of have to. It's something that because you're going to see very quickly. You're going to see a team that everybody's pressing, and you're going to be walking, and that mindset has to change very quick. We saw the other day they struggled a little bit, because in the first couple of 3 runs he made a good effort, because he wants to show that he's got the will to work the same way that everybody is doing. But it's not easy. I mean, when you've been playing in a certain way, and he was doing exactly that. He was getting ready to receive the ball, to make quick transitions, but it's everything going forward. Tracking back, it wasn't his main thing. So now he knows that he has to press, he has to make quick transitions, and also he has to help the other teammates in the moment that they got that position. So it's something that he will adapt, but you're going to adapt quicker, because everybody's going to be running around you, so you're going to feel embarrassed if you don't do it.
It's such a big thing as well that he gets the chance to spend the full pre-season with his teammates, isn't it? And the coaches, they can get that idea across 4 weeks instead of joining in as January, and you've got to learn on the hop type of thing. It's a great period for him, this, isn't it, Darwin Nunez?
Pre-season's massive, yeah, to get a full pre-season under your belt, to learn to train in this kind of environment as well, where he's learning, how Jürgen wants the team to play, how the other players play, getting understanding. Which we spoke about has happened so well in previous players in different teams. But also, as well, as it's like sometimes when you go to a football club, you want to be the star. Them centre forwards, they love it, don't they? They're the big players. But he's got to know that although the team and Jürgen will say there's no stars, the team's the star. Mo is the big hitter. And we've seen it with Gareth Bale when he went to Real Madrid, quickly with that price tag and going there with such euphoria. He maybe wanted to take over Ronaldo's place, but Ronaldo quickly put him in his place and said, listen, I'm the star. Listen, you play, second fiddle to me. And Gareth learned that really quick and become a star in his own right, really. But Ronnie was still that type. I think they have it at PSG as well. Messi's gone there, he's the big star. Mbappe needs to realise that, or Neymar as well. But here, as much as Nunez wants to settle in, he's the centre forward and he does score goals, but Mo's the star, isn't he? That's how it is.
Joe Gomez just going into a rapturous applause of the fans that have come out here tonight. The players came out of their hotel, by the way, as well, and we're giving away tickets for people to see this for free. So lots of the fans who've been camped outside the hotel since they arrived last night had no plans to be here, but the players were giving out tickets so they could be, which was a nice touch. Luis Diaz is one of those players that buck the trend that I spoke about before. Never easy to come in January unless perhaps you're him. Are we expecting the next level for him next season after a full pre-season with Liverpool?
Yeah, I think so. And I think he's expecting the best of him. The other day we saw something even more attractive from Luis Diaz. We saw him last year. He was intense, he was quick, he's got ability, he's got goal. But the other day I saw a little bit even more hunger, a little boldness. He got the ball every single time and start facing players. He started trying to beat players on 1v1. And last year was a little bit maybe afraid because he just landed and you don't want to show an image that you want to keep the ball for too long. But I'm sure that Jürgen have said, listen, you are built for that. You got that ability to face players. You can go to the left or you can go to the right. You are strong, you are quick, and those control that he does every single time he's trying to face. And having a player that is got that ability, you have to use it. So I'm sure that we're going to see a different kind of player this year, more looking forward to be players, and that's what is needed when you face against two lines of full defense. That is the almost every single weekend that we've seen against Liverpool. Teams who get back to get the balls parked in front of the box. Having a player like this who can be players who can face one-on-one every single time is something that I'm sure that Jürgen Klopp is looking forward to do.
Just a quick one on this training schedule as well. For people who are watching at home that might not understand why they're being opposed in a drill like this, why would you go through it in this way without opposition up against them? Is there a science behind that?
Breaks down. When you got opposition, breaks down. You can't get anything fluid going. You know, the opposition are there to stop you. You know, it's all about positional play, where each other are, intensity. You put opposition in there, it breaks down, then you got to start again, it breaks down. They build up into that, don't they? They'll build up in maybe they'll throw 4 or 5 players in then, and they'll play around them. Then they'll build up to maybe another 10 players being in there.
Yeah, you can have that in the other side. We can see there are 2 teams played in the other side where they are trying to implement this pattern of play that we're seeing here. Here is about getting the routine, getting the run. Where is the space that you have to get involved? The players who are going to be in that situation, for example, we've seen now that the ball is played by Pep, goes back, goes to one side, and every single player then knows what they have to do. And then all of those patterns of play that we are seeing here, they're going to be implemented. They're going to keep practicing the other side of the pitch.
Pep's been down Nunez's ear for the last 10 minutes there. I've just been watching him. So Nunez is at Benfica, the manager there has a certain style of play, you know, and we press when the ball's in this area, and this is what you do, and then you go through you go through that, you implement that as you play. At Liverpool, it's slightly different. Look, you can see him now. So what Pep's basically saying to him is, listen, you go and you trust that everybody else is behind you, because there's nothing worse than you pressing and turning around and no one's backed you up. They just play around you. Well, you've got to trust that. You've got to trust the other players that actually you've gone, and all the other players have gone behind you, and that's what Pep's saying to him there. As soon as the ball comes into me, you press. They'll all be behind you. Don't worry about that. You've got to trust that, and it is a trust thing. You know, he won't want to do it at first because that's not how Benfica did it, and he'll be thinking, oh, do I go? Do I not go? Do I stay? Am I in the right position? And Pep's just drilling it into him.
It's very important that he understands the triggers to press. He doesn't know yet. He's been here for 3 days, and he doesn't know where he has to press, because here it looks like every single time that the opponent has got the ball, all of them are pressing, but that's not the situation. There is a moment where you start pressing, and I think Pep is telling him, listen, when the ball goes to the other centre back, that's the trigger for you to start pressing. You cut the line, and then you're going to have one pressing, and behind you, just what Jason is saying, every single one of them are going to follow you, but you are going to understand, you are going to read when is the moment, exactly the moment that you have to start pressing. If not, at the end it's very easy. If there's only one player coming to press, it's going to be easy for the defenders to pass him through. So the moment of that trigger is what Pep is trying to tell him. This is the moment. I receive the ball, then you are coming to me, and the rest is going to follow you.
You seem pretty happy with how it's all unfolded. It must be exhausting as well, aside from the physical side that you put into training. It must almost be like going back to scratch for you as a player when you're going into a style that is very specific, and this is how we want you to play.
This is actually enjoyable, because you're actually doing disguised running with a football. Like, there's nothing worse than running around a pitch. It's just monotonous, it's tiring, your mind's all over the place, it's hard. Here, it's very intense, but they got the ball out. They're scoring goals, aren't they?
Yeah,
and like it's finishing, crossing and finishing. It's like that's what you want to be doing all the time. So there's a lot of work involved. There's a lot of running off the ball, but we used to call it disguised running. They just got us running here with the ball. Yeah, but it's enjoyable. That's the nice thing about training, is that kind of session.
Actually, the nicest thing is in the other side, where you're free to play, no one is bothering you, you are just focusing on scoring goals. And
that's the Maverick speaking there.
Exactly. That's it.
Leave me alone, let me play.
Yeah, exactly. I used to love those small games. I still love them. But it's true that everything starts from here, from the build-up to know what we have to do every single moment. And it has to be very well organized. It has to be very well talked. The communication in this team is just fantastic. You can see everybody's talking to each other, because that's the way you're going to do a good pressure. A good pressure is done because you've got a trigger point at certain moments, because everybody is focused, because in the moment that one of them is not pressing, the press is not going to work.
The translators around the club as well, Thiago has been worth his weight in gold the last couple of days. You'll have seen him around training. You know, Robbo will grab him and say, get into Darwin, tell him what the manager's just said. Obviously, Pep is worth his weight in gold in that as well. But to have that little clique that speak the same language, even where you move to, what schools are the best for the kids to go to, that must be priceless for a player come to a new country.
It's key to have to the adaptation for a new player. It's just fantastic to have players where you can talk, where are you struggling on. But for everything, you just mentioned schools, but the family, to find a house, everything is a lot easier when you have someone who you can speak with. He's been here for a long time, and he can help you through that. Because we talk about players, but it's not only about a player. He's a person, he's a human being, and he's got his good and bad moments. And family is such an important matter for a new player when he arrives to a new country. And it's true that Darwin he's been in different ones. He played in Spain, in Almeria. He played in Portugal as well. And now he came here to England to a totally different culture, totally different football. And he needs to adapt. And as soon as he's confident that at home everything is working out, he's going to go on the field and then perform 100%.
They're a bit more worldly now, aren't they, in terms of maybe how they were when you joined, and the Scouse accents were very difficult to get hold of, weren't they? You probably learnt a lot of the Scouse phrases before you did English.
I remember the first time that I heard Lucas Leiva talking or speaking English or Scouse. It was just fantastic. Because you expect him to, when you are not you're not born in America or in an English country, you expect them to talk with a little bit of accent, but you are not expecting him with a Scouse accent. It was just fantastic. I understood after why they call him the Scouse son, but because it's fantastic just to hear him talking in that accent. That is, well, I was going to try to do my impression, but I'm not going to do it.
We'll save that one for later. You know, when your kids get hangry because they want to have something to eat and they're on your case all the time. Jason McAteer has stood next to me with a packet of crisps and a drink. I'm going to let you eat them and drink those.
I don't put crisps.
You're a proper
athlete.
athlete.
Yeah, I'm an athlete.
Should we, in the meantime, tell you how you can subscribe if you're watching for free today? Don't miss out on the chance to watch the last 4 games of this pre-season. Leipzig, Salzburg and Strasbourg follow the game against Crystal Palace tomorrow. It's a great way to warm you up for the new season, which is only a few weeks away. Like I say, if you're not a subscriber so far and you'd like to be, liverpoolfc.com/watch is how you get details of how to price it all up. And honestly, we've got some great content for you along the way on this pre-season tour that you will not want to miss out on either. It's been a great session so far, and it's going to continue. We're going to let you watch that for a little bit while we let Jason take a food and drink break. We'll be back very soon.
If I do one step, you do 1, 2, 3.
Well, here we go. The session is just coming towards its end, which will come as great news for some of the players that have put a lot of endeavour into the last 24 hours or so. There was a session last night that was so intense, and this one was replicated again today. It's funny, you know, we stand so often, Jason and I, at the side of the pitch at Anfield, and everybody differs, don't they? Some players look at the pitch and they think, I'd love to be back on it again. You look at the pitch and just want to hit golf balls off it. Luis Garcia's just stood here watching the players train and said, what I wouldn't give to be back out there again. You miss it still?
So much, to be honest. And when I'm at home and I'm watching on TV, of course you miss it, but you don't have those feelings. But now you're next to him. I got it so close that I would love to grab a ball and start kicking it around. So, yes, it's a passion that I got for football, and it's a beautiful sport.
I wonder how sore they're feeling, if anything, the big part of this pre-season, as well as the ice baths that will be lining the corridor at the moment. 30 of them, 2 in 1.
It's moved on so much, the science, isn't it, about recovery. I mean, that's the big thing now, because the games, there's so many games in the season, you have to recover to go again. And you do feel strains, aches and knocks. I mean, Lewis will testify, I don't think we ever played 100% fit. We always had something wrong with us. It's just how it was managed. These days now, though, the recovery is so much more advanced, isn't it? I mean, I wouldn't have dreamt of gotten in a bath of ice. I would have looked at you stupid if you'd have told me to get in a bath of ice back in the 90s. But now it's the done thing. You know, you hear stories about Jordan Henderson going home and jumping in ice baths and to recover quickly. And
they don't even grimace now, you know, the players. They're that used to it.
They're used to it, yeah.
That used to the temperatures.
Yeah.
Whether they're just putting on a brave face, I'm not sure. But what you might notice when you see behind-the-scenes footage of this trip as well is that there are quite a lot of new faces behind the scenes now. The advancements are very obvious, aren't they? And the scientific route behind, you know, the team behind the team, if you like. They've signed a new chiropractor, an osteopath, I should say. That, you know, they think the advancements in the way the players play, they need to have the very best in the world behind the scenes as well. And these fellas are worth their weight in gold, and women. We've got so many different nationalities here represented on the coaching side of things. it removes any excuse for players because they have the very best expertise.
Yeah, exactly. Diversity, that they say, that having people from around the world can bring different perspectives, different views, and that's the most important, that not everybody looks to the same thing, have the same opinion, and at the moment you can see that they have everything that they need. Very important on these days, so many games, so many trainings. They need to recover quick because there is another game that you have to win. And well, we just heard that Jürgen is got expert on throw-ins, and everybody is talking about why you need an expert on throw-ins, and definitely something that we have to give a lot of credit to that, because the amount of throw-ins that you give to the opponent is so big that there is a ball that it might end in your own goal. So it's very important to have a look on that, and we talked before, small details are very, very important.
As well, I mean, it's a team. We're talking about a team, but it's made up of individuals. And what they've, take great detail in now as you look at Luis's culture to my culture. I mean, in the Spanish, you eat later, don't you? And you do things, they're made differently, they eat different food, and that's how they grow up. It's different than what I need, and they cater for all that now. It's where I was playing, we all ate the same food at the same time, done the same things. That might not necessarily be the best for you, as much as it's the best for him. So you've got to figure it out, and there are times when you've got to find that balance where they've obviously got to all eat together, but diets are all changed. You look at Mo's diets, what they do to maybe Jordan Henderson's diet, recovery. You look at like the African players, they're built differently and they need different things, different stretches, for different parts of the muscles because they use different things. And yeah, it's all looked into now. There's not a stone unturned.
We've got lots of young players here as well. One of the kit men is actually a brilliant young coach at the academy. He's here for the child protection side of it. There's young boys here that might need to speak to a coach every now and again and say, I'm struggling, I'm tired, I don't think I'm up to it. We've got a psychologist here, Lee Richardson, who used to be a professional footballer with Oldham and Aberdeen as well. There's no different corner that the club haven't explored.
No, not at all, and that's fantastic. I mean, I remember my first pre-season with Barcelona. We went to Holland, and we were 5 players, and like you just said, the amount of shout that Van Gaal gave to us, it was that big that every single time we didn't want to leave the room, because at the end you have no one to talk with. Yes, in between you, I was sharing the room with Roger Garcia, that is one of the big players in the middle of the park for Barcelona at that moment. And I couldn't even talk to him much because, you have like an idol, you don't talk too much to him, so it was difficult. So having someone that that is part of the staff is so important for your confidence to try to deliver what you want and perform well, because if not, probably you will go through this and you will not give what you can give, and that's something that I'm sure that Jürgen doesn't want. You want to see the best of those players, and you have to allow them to be comfortable, to have confidence and show what they got.
I mean, you've delved into the mental health aspect of the game, which has changed massively, and there's still strides to be made in that field. And Liverpool, having spoke to Alex Inglethorpe and the lads at the academy and speaking to you and watching what goes on, they are at the forefront of that, and it's drifted into the first team, which is great. Just to touch on what Lewis was saying there, you can imagine being a 17-year-old kid and you've got blisters and they're killing you, and you don't want to tell anyone that you've got blisters because you don't want to miss out, you don't want to look weak, you don't want to miss a training session, you don't want the manager to look back and think I'm disappointing him and he's going to think I'm not ready for this. So you play, your blisters get infected, you can't train then because you can't walk. You want to be able to go to someone, listen, and have the confidence to go to them as a 17-year-old kid and say, listen, this is what's wrong with me, I don't know, and let them make the decision for you. But back in our day, I wouldn't dream of going, I've got a couple of blisters, I can't train.
Send them home.
It's like, but that needs to be done. That needs to be done.
Players and the manager just showing their appreciation for the fans at the moment that will be packing this place tomorrow night, and we're really looking forward to it. It's a fantastic stadium. If you missed the start of it, by the way, they're going to have Justin Bieber on this pitch in the next couple of weeks as well. So the pitch that was laid 3 or 4 weeks ago will be dug up, and it will be concerts on here as well. So really looking forward to seeing what the venue has to offer. Have you not been asked to kick any footies into the crowd tonight?
No, we did it at Thailand. They done me hamstring, to be fair, after about 10 balls. No, we haven't. I don't know whether we've got that kind of duty tonight. I'm not sure. The reason we did do it is there was 200 orphan children in the crowd. They brought 200 orphan children in, and we give out gifts, and I think 2 T-shirts went in. We kicked footballs into the crowd, so that's why we did it. I'm not sure whether we've got that tonight, so I assume not.
it's been coming in people more and more. We start seeing in the beginning of the session just this part, and then I look back and I saw the other side, I saw this right side. So yeah, we can say that those 10,000 we're expecting, they are almost here. Yeah.
It'll be a decent game as well up against Crystal Palace, who I think are a little bit depleted in terms of the kind of players that they have available to them there. Pre-season started a little bit earlier than ours, and we're all trying to find out, aren't we? We're all trying to fathom out what kind of season every other Premier League club is having, because everybody seems to be strengthening to a really decent level, the top teams.
Everyone strengthens, you know, it gets harder and harder. You can't stand still. Certainly Liverpool, City, they haven't stood still. Chelsea in the transfer market are still going playing catch-up because of their problems. United looked half decent the other night. They want to add, you know, the new manager there wants to do things. Then you've got Tottenham, he's recruited Conte really well. Then you look at Palace, finished 12th, they'll want to, Patrick Vieira will want to improve on that. You've got the other teams who are going to want to stay in the Premier League because of the revenue and what it brings, so they strengthen to protect that. It just gets harder and harder, so that's why what they're doing is actually phenomenal.
What kind of challenge are you expecting at the top then next season, Lewis?
Big ones, because definitely everybody looks stronger than last year. He hasn't mentioned our skipper, oldest skipper, Steven Gerrard, that he done an amazing job, and I'm sure that he's going to be looking forward to get in the top 6 probably, and that means that it's a lot of teams that are going to be challenging for the Europa League places. That means that they're going to be more difficult to win. And that's something that maybe in the past few years you couldn't face, but there are going to be more problems to win more games. We lost 2 last year, only 2. That is something probably that no one was expecting, and this year is going to be again another challenge. So yeah, hopefully this team is ready. I think that they look even stronger than last year, and I'm sure that they're going to be competing for every single trophy.
And just finally on that is why this period is so important. You have to become unpredictable again, don't you? Make sure your recruitment is right, but also play a slightly different way than you did the year before.
You can become predictable. I mean, we have gone slightly away from 4-3-3 now and again, but that predominantly is how we play. We haven't gone away from it too much because we're actually the best team in the world at playing 4-3-3, and other teams have got to combat that. But yeah, you've got to think outside the box sometimes. A little tweak here and there. You've got to give yourself the ability to do that by recruiting the right players. We've already mentioned Nunez has come in. He's gone away from that. Firmino, it'd be interesting to see how he slots in and plays. But also Firmino's still here, and we've got other players who can play in that position. So yeah, you've got to adapt to that. But this is the stuff that goes on behind the scenes that really the fans don't see. I know we're showing the fans back at home, but this is where all the hard work's done. Pre-season. It's not a nice time for footballers, but they know they have to do it. And this is where the preparation's done for the season that lies ahead.
Yeah, it has been so successful, that 4-3-3, but with the options we've talked about tonight, it gives him that flexibility, doesn't it? He can manoeuvre it in a slightly different way. Yeah,
exactly. We've seen a couple of changes with the 2 players a little bit more in arrow, something that we can see. Even the 2 widemen that they normally play in the middle, we saw them today a little bit more wider, knowing that at some points they're going to be the ones who are going to use that as a pace. I think that Jürgen knows that you can have your shape ready, but there are games that they're not going to be. You're going to face against those 2 lines of 4 that they are going to be very difficult to break, and you have to find a way to do it. And well, you got players in different positions that can break it, but you also can manage to maybe drop that centre forward, bring 2 players up front who can maybe stick those centre backs. So a lot of options, and that's the most important. I think that he's very happy because he has a lot of options.
Well, we're really looking forward to this one in less than 24 hours. The Reds play their 2nd pre-season game, of course, of this summer trip, and up against Crystal Palace, of course. If you haven't already subscribed, then please go online. liverpoolfc.com/watch is how you can find out how to get involved and be a subscriber. Lewis Garcia will be here with us tomorrow, as will Jason McAteer. And, of course, 4 games to go now ahead of the start to a new season in 3 weeks' time. From all of us here, have a good evening. We hope you enjoyed it. Bye-bye.
Well, Joe, first of all, congratulations. New deal at Liverpool, a long-term one. How does it feel to get it done?
Yeah, it's obviously a special